Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Davon, aka Champ. Christ handles all my problems. And you are rocking with me and my guy, Just Another Podcast with Just.Hek.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Just.Hek, and this is Just Another Podcast, episode 19. Woo, 19. Wow,
Tragic.
yeah. Tonight, I got my man Davon Champ Woodley on my show because I have dope guests on my show all the time.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Like my man Heck said, my name is Champ. Champ stands for Christ handles all my problems. It's a saying that I've been saying for a very long time. Honestly, it first started with my dad. My dad used to call me that when I was a kid. That's what he told me when he started writing letters to me when I was upstate. But then I transformed it into a whole nother meaning. You know, I went from Champ, the little scrappy kid who was always down and ready to fight, to Champ, Christ handles all my problems, and allowing him to take over all of my battles, him to really be be the one to fight for me and fight for my life. I appreciate it. Thanks, man. Thanks for introducing me.
Without a doubt, man. No, that's a great saying. And I know you have a clothing line that you've been working on and you've been doing, and that's what you're trying to incorporate. I'm truly excited for when when you really drop that line, because I feel like that's something that people will gravitate towards, especially during these times where
Absolutely.
our faith is tested and stuff like that. I think that's something that'll really, and I'll buy a hat, buy a shirt, you make it happen.
For my clothing line, it's kind of on the back burner for the moment, only because I have so many other projects going on. But it's not something that I lost the passion, the drive for, right? As Heck was explaining to y'all, so yeah, I do have a clothing line. It's called Cloth by Champ. So Cloth X Champ. And the reason why I wanted to combine my love of faith and fashion and incorporate it to urban apparel line. I love saying that it's a Christian faith-based urban apparel line, because I don't feel like there's any shame in claiming where you are spiritually, claiming where you are religiously. And it's something that I really want to hold as a stronghold. It's becoming more prominent and more bold to be a millennial or a person, a millennial period, and coming to Christ for the first time. It's very difficult to say, you know what, I'm going to put on this church suit. It's virtually impossible anymore. I don't even get dressed up for church, right? I get flashed for church. I don't get dressed up for church, right? So I thought about this idea when I was incarcerated, and the reason why I wanted to create this whole entire brand was because, honestly, it was the thing keeping me. It was the second most important thing that I was physically doing while incarcerated. That alone is a whole entire story. I know you got questions on that, but yeah, it's an amazing faith-based apparel line that I really, really enjoy. And I'm looking, if anybody's listening to this podcast and they're looking to be a part of a dope project, shout your boy out. Come holler at me. All my info is going to be on this podcast. I guarantee you.
Awesome. Definitely will. Definitely will. All right. So awesome. That's a great start. So let's take a step. Let's take a trip back in time a little bit, right? So,
okay.
Let's go back to Champ growing up. Where did you grow up?
Harlem all day.
Okay, Harlem, USA. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Where you grew up at?
Yeah, I grew up in Riverton.
Oh, okay.
Family's still there. Riverton is still there.
Oh yeah.
I'm on that borderline of the east side.
Yeah.
On 135th and 5th. Yeah. And it's a beautiful part of town, in my personal opinion. You know, it was a little bit of bougie, a little bit of ratchet, right? I live right across the street from, what I gotta call Stinking Lincoln.
Stinking Lincoln.
Shout out to our people in Lincoln.
People not from Harlem not gonna understand that, but
they're not gonna understand
Stinking Lincoln. That's a name that goes back like
way back
before us, man. Like I remember as a child, 4 or 5 years old, and my uncles in their early 20s talking about Stinking Lincoln.
Stinking Lincoln.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. That's crazy.
Right. So it's one of those things where I had a little bit of the best of both worlds. I don't even know where to start with that. I grew up in Harlem. The lifestyle, the tradition was rooted in just love and community. Sad to say, gentrification kind of destroyed a lot of that. But
crack did too. Crack. Keep it real.
Keeping on the tail end.
Oh, okay. Well, I will tell you, being a little bit older than you, I'll tell you right now, heroin started it, and then when they brought freebase and crack it finished, it.
Pretty much, right? So, and the social economic indifferences that are taking place right now, especially with like redlining and everything, and how they, after de Blasio came into office, well, right before he came into office, it was already talked of rezoning East Harlem, and then after de Blasio's office, that's what really took off as a big issue. I noticed that it started slowly, very gradually on the east side, and made its way to central and West Harlem, like Spitfire. It was crazy. But Harlem is a beautiful place to be. I grew up in a household. I had a mom, dad. It's beautiful. Upbringing was a little bit different from most. I only say that because I was that cool preppy kid, right? So I had on the Tommy Hilfiger Oxford collared pink shirt with the cream khakis and the duck shoes, the Dockers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up a little different, and I always had the fly stuff, and my parents always made sure that I was laced. And I think that's like a typical Harlem tradition. You got to pass that down to the kids, right? So I always stayed, my version of it. Even now, right? Like, it's so crazy. I'm on the third pair of Jordans I've ever had in my entire life. Like, I never liked sneakers like that. It's only because I always wore like very plain stuff, right? Basic colors.
Right.
So like, I'm learning to step out of that. Get fresh,
diversify.
I'm the college shirt, khakis rolled up, moccasins on, Overall, upbringing was pretty dope. I think the challenge for me the most was the adjustment, because like I said, I had that hood fabulous side of me, right?
Right.
So like I went to school downtown. I went to school in Midtown, right? And most of from like second grade to fifth grade, I was just around white kids.
Wow.
Like 10 black kids in a school in Midtown where kids could just walk out there, 120-story tall building, come downstairs, go to school. Here I am on the 4 and the 5, getting off on 59th.
Right.
My mom's and my brother, right?
Wow.
So our upbringing was different because I was exposed to people who didn't like me at a young age, man. If I had to be real, right? And you don't understand that because you're like growing up thinking that everybody in your class doesn't like you because they don't see you as cool. It's different when you grow up and you realize that people don't like you because you don't resemble them, right? You don't resemble the majority, right? So like I remember when these kids who actually came from Africa and they went to our school and they were really cool. They were fun kids. I still remember that. But I remember a lot of them saying that we're all related. And I was just like, wow, right? In a small way, you're right. But at the time when you're a kid, you're thinking like, I'm not African, you know, but it's just the way they're comparing you and putting you against your own people. It makes you, it's a mind fuck, man. So quite naturally, after fifth grade, it's not a lot of middle schools in Midtown that doesn't go from like 6 to high school that you don't have to pay for. So I wound up going back uptown to Harlem. You know, I went to PS 125, baby, on Morningside. That was my school, but that was also where I got these hands from, right? Because I mean, for me to get beat up as much as I did in the 6th grade, I made sure that nobody could fuck with me. I made sure. Because now I'm this cool, preppy, token white kid. Hi, everybody. You know, like I just, you know, and then you get the culture shock, right? Black people don't want to talk to you because your behaviors, your mannerisms resembles that of white people, right? So I had a double dose of what that felt like in growing up in my lifetime. And I think the hardest part about that is me not feeling accepted by either or, right? Like finding your identity is very much rooted externally when you're that age, you know, and at that time I was already struggling because like, you know, my last name is different from most of the people in my family's last names. I never understood why. So get to that later on, right? I'm Woodley, my mom is Bennett, Dickinson, my brother is Bennett, all this other stuff. Like it's just a whole bunch of different names that are floating in my family. And it's just like, why am I Woodley? So identity crisis all throughout middle school. Let's just call it that. All right. I think I really truly found the love I had for Harlem in the 7th and 8th grade. That is when it started, right? I think when you get to junior high school, right, and you able to walk to school, go to school on a train by yourself, that's when you start discovering things you have never saw before without being chaperoned around town, right? Like I used to walk home from school. That's when I went to school on 129th in Amsterdam. It's right up the block. I think the cool thing about that was it was like a straight shot across town, boom. But I would take the long way on purpose because I was like, oh, let's see what's over here. Morning side, what's that? You know, it's my convent. I'm on convent. Okay, all right. This is too dangerous over here. I had to run into those situations, right? So I really grew in love with it, even to this day, right? I moved out of the city. I live in Westchester now, you know, newly married. I couldn't do the city life anymore, so I'm in Westchester. But when I used to get off work and I was still living in Harlem, I still walked around because I love walking the streets, you know. So nostalgic for me and it's calming. So even to this day, it's like it has a place in my heart. Actually, I went to 3 different high schools, bro. Now that I think about it, that's crazy.
Why?
I went to 3. Yeah. Well, first I went to FDA, right? FDA. That's like I was like the elite school in Harlem.
No, without that.
Co-ed school in Harlem, right? And I think that was like really dope. I just hated the uniform. I hated the uniform so much. And then, you know, honestly, you know, I didn't want to go to an all boys school. Kind of wish I did, right? But I like the other elite school. You got Rice
Right.
at the time, right? I'm gonna get into that too, right? Ice parties was popping.
It's right there, 126 in Lenox, right? 126 or 127? No,
124.
124. 124. I'm thinking because it's right by Lenox, the bar, right there.
Yeah,
yeah, it's right.
Yeah.
It's literally right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So ironically, it's not there no more. Yeah, they shut down.
Oh, shut the bar down.
Rice High School, no more. It's been like
when did they shut it down?
Yeah, I would say like maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe 5.
Wow.
Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me.
Wow, I'm gonna search that. I had to search that. That's crazy. I thought it was still there.
The building is still there. It's
right.
named a different school now. It's no longer Rice High School. Yeah, it's like a.
A lot of basketball greats came out of there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Like that. Seriously, Rice was a perennial powerhouse in the city when I was growing up. I was in high school. But wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
you went to Rice too?
No. I said I wish I did.
Oh, okay.
Right. But I went to FDA.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't like it. That's why I went through like my really, really thinking I'm a bad boy phase, cutting school and everything. Right.
Yeah. Hey.
Right. So 9th grade, thought I met the love of my life. Met my daughter's mother. Not an FDA. She went to a different school.
Okay.
But met it off. And by the time I was in 10th grade, I cut school so many times, hanging out with her or just doing my own thing that they sent me to a truancy school. I don't know if you knew about it. Like you had those absences. They made sure your ass went to school, right? I went to school all the way down on 6th Street Avenue D.
Right? That was yes. Okay.
Yes. And that's why I really learned the city. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I thought Harlem was bad. I was like, sheesh.
What year were you down there?
Oh man.
2000 what?
6.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It was reckless.
That was before gentrification. Well, that was around the time they gentrified. Started to.
That's when if you weren't at the bus stop after school and you were just hanging around Chinese spot, corner store, whatever. Yo, you not from here? Yeah. I go to school, right? Oh, you go to school there, but you ain't from here.
Yeah. You gotta go. Oh yeah.
Oh, they was not playing.
Yeah, you went to school near Campos. Yeah. Campos is no joke. Yeah.
No, I was like, wow, man. Yeah. So, by that time, me and my high school sweetheart at that time had a baby. All right, we was finding out we having a little one on the way.
Blessings. It's blessings.
Right? Right. My baby girl now is 14. Jesus.
Wow.
Jesus. Yeah. So, right. And I'm like, at that time, I was a young dad. And after I went to that truancy school downtown, I graduated from West Side. But before I found out.
Oh, West Side from the end where Douglas?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's the school where you make up your credits.
That's it.
Yeah, I remember.
No, my day was over at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
I just made up all the rest of my credits and stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's a fact.
Oh, it was real. But I guess I would shit. The part I wanted to share was like right before I found out that I was having a baby. Right at 15, my daughter was born when I was 16. Which is crazy, bananas. Right, but right after I found out.
Shout out to your daughter.
Shout out to my daughter. Love baby girl. That is, I love that little girl. Love her. Not a little girl.
Not a little girl anymore, but
she's a little girl in my heart. Right.
Exactly.
But I found out. One day I was at. Wow, I went all over the place. Wow. One day I found out at school. Yeah. One day I was at school. I found out that this dude recognized my last name. He was like, "Yo, I know your brother, man." I know your brother. I was like, how do you know my brother? At the time, my brother was not even in high school yet. I was like, how you know him? All right. And he was like, nah, I know your older brother. I was like, nigga, I'm the older brother. Oh, yeah. I'm like, I was so confused.
People of color
Like,
stuff, man.
yeah. So like, he was like, nah, you got an older brother. He lives here. He goes here. Dot, dot, dot. Shout out to my older brother, Donovan, man. Right. That's the greatest chef ever. All right. But yeah, I went home. I told my mom, I was like, Mom, yo, somebody came to me at school and told me I had a brother named Donovan. And she was like, what? Like, she dropped stuff. I thought I was in trouble, right? Because I was like, oh, because earlier that week I did cut school. But I was like, oh.
Right.
So my stepdad, right, he goes ahead and he works 2 jobs. So when he comes home late at night, you already layered up. I'm in bed with like 3 pairs of sweatpants. Mind you, I got a baby on the way, and I'm a grown man afraid to get my ass wet. Let's just put that out there, right? Like
It'd be like that sometimes. It'd be like that sometimes.
Right? So comes home, talks to me, tell me, yo, I ain't your real dad. I was like, what? And I was like, okay, cool. Not a problem. Well, no, I didn't say that. I'm good with it now. But at the time, it was a huge deal because, like I told you, up until that point, I was struggling with identity. So a lot of identity issues happening, right?
Right.
Good, bad, and different. And yeah, when I found that out, it was like a huge relief and a shock at the same time. Because now I'm like, all right, we're getting somewhere. You have a lineage, right? You have another Woodley you're about to meet. Got your brother, got your dad. He told me Pops was locked up. He was coming home. And every time I was like, why are we? I was like, why does my mom always want to be the one to answer the phone all the time? But how come I can't answer the phone? You would try to call.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, cool, no problem.
Wow.
So when I found out, when they told me everything, I would say like maybe a month or two later, he came home from doing like 12 years, 14 years or something like that. And at that time, I'm like 15, going on 16.
So you went to jail.
I don't know,
like
bro.
3 or 4. You went to jail when you were like 3 or 4.
Exactly. My family is very well known. Like on my brother's side, our uncle is Huddy Six, Harlem World.
Oh, he passed away.
Yeah.
That was a big. Huddy Six is a legend.
Yeah, like
that's a fact.
Yeah,
he's a legend. He's a Harlem legend for real.
My brother is.
Dude, Huddy Six is such a legend that when he passed away, he's not even a rapper. And everybody paid respects from Cameron, Mace, Diddy.
That
funeral? Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Like, you had $500 million in that funeral. In that
Huddy Six is a legend. For real.
It was amazing. Yeah. It was the first time in my life I was like,
wow.
Oh, like, hey, I'm introduced to this family. All of these things are happening. Yeah. It's a bunch of stuff happening.
That's a fact. Yeah.
Yeah, like so I learned that side of my family is that I learned that my lineage, my last name comes from a long line of Woodleys put in work in Harlem. Flipped, bought, sold, did whatever work, right? And I was wow. And so it's both famous and infamous at the same time. And when I met my dad, I was introduced to a lot of that stuff, like that lifestyle, that I wasn't exposed to. So now I went from bougie to 16, 15 and pregnant to getting it, understanding, not getting in, but understanding that lifestyle. So it was a whirlwind for me because it went from like, you grew up hella white, so now you hella black now. You on the other side of black. And,
it's a fact.
Yeah. And I still remember, like, anytime a young man would talk about how they met their pops for the first time or found out who they are, where they are, whatever the case may be, it always surprises me to know that I can share with them the exact same experience I had and understanding what it was like meeting them. I wound up moving down south for a while.
Mm.
Moved to
Where right down south?
North Carolina.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, North Carolina's dope.
It's dope. It's dope when you're in a heavily populated area, not when you're Raleigh, outside of Raleigh. You know.
I have family in Raleigh.
Yeah. I mean, popping now, but like 10 years ago, bro, it wasn't where it's at today. Like right now, I'm trying to get to North Carolina. I'm trying to get the whole family now.
Yeah.
Back then, I was just like, bro, it's slowness is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If it wasn't a college party, it was nothing popping. Right? Because we lived out by like the Shaw area, Shaw University. So like that was actually pretty okay. But it's like school's out, or if there was a break, dead.
That's a fact. Yeah.
For real. So it's like it's one of those places where I had to learn how to like really get my shit together, bro. Like, and honestly, that broke me too. Right, Mr. Fix It, feeling like I can run away from my problems because I can't fix them, and dealing with the fact that I am facing them now currently, and I feel like I have my back against the wall. Right, I literally thought about suicide. Like that was something that really took place at that point in time.
Okay.
You know,
had a lot on your plate, though. You know what I'm saying? You had a lot on your plate. That's a lot going on.
So, I realized like still even then I wasn't the answer, right? Because I'm such a fighter that I couldn't even throw in the towel, right? So like there was something that lived within me that was like, do not give up, right? And I have to give testament to God on that one. Like, if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for like me just like falling asleep, passing out drunk, and not even thinking about doing anything else, like just craziness, right? At the time, it was like something in me stopped me from doing something that I knew for a fact wouldn't have allowed me to be on this podcast to share my testimony, right? So all of that glory goes to God, all of it, right? And I wound up moving back to New York, and I was back to working 2-3 jobs like I used to, taking care of baby girl. And I wound up getting into a situation one day that literally took me away from her.
Gotcha.
Never been in trouble, right? I think me and you can share the same story, right? Never been in trouble. Never even had cuffs slapped on us. Nothing. Like, you look my name up in the database back in 2012, nothing's gonna pop up. Right. So it's like I got into a situation. I got sentenced as a first-time offender, and I was met with that mandatory minimum, right? And that Manhattan mandatory minimum, man.
Mandatory minimum.
Man, can we drop a bomb for the DA's office?
Yeah, listen. So just so folks, just if you're not familiar, so New York, obviously, there's 5 boroughs. You have Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island. The toughest counties in terms of sentencing is Manhattan and Queens. And Staten Island is 3rd, and then Brooklyn and Bronx kind of give out sentences based on the circumstances. Yeah. Manhattan and Queens throw the book at you, though. Okay, so yes. So sorry, so continue with your story, Chip.
His office really tried to drop a bomb on me, man. So sentenced 4 years, and during that time, that's when that's the turnaround point for me, right? You're forced. You're forced to deal with your problems because you're alone, locked in yourself. I like to call it like hurting and seasoning you, right? They sent me to downstate, which is a maximum facility. And I was there for like 2, maybe 3 months. And the worst part about that is it's like you on 23-hour lockdown. Now, let me take that back. 22-hour lockdown, right? Because you get out the shower, you go out to lunch with everybody, then you go out to the yard for maybe an hour or so, right? And that was literally your time, right? And I was forced to deal with all the thoughts that I was running away from. And it was hard because it was like, I wouldn't even say it's solution-based, right? Right? Because if we had the solution, we wouldn't be in the situations we're in. I would look at it more so like, I was so ready to put a Band-Aid over wounds of other people that I caused, or the wounds of myself. Just put a Band-Aid on it. It's going to heal eventually, right? Just slapping something temporary. But when you inside, all of those wounds are exposed. Can't do nothing about it, right? So, like, I was at a point in time in my life where I was just like, wow, like I was in a relationship at that time with another woman. I was like, I guess most men put that same line out there or that precursor. You ain't got to do this with me. You ain't got to do the bit with me. you ain't got to be here for this long journey.
Right.
I decided, I did that, and she stayed, and that was a huge help. So I could really say that was a very, very huge help. But I would honestly say I started the transformation, the entire transformation when I realized I can do a program when I got to my main facility for 2 years and get 6 months off my time. Right? The program allows you to make sure that you have no tickets, right? If you get it, for those who don't know, people incarcerated get tickets for the dumbest things, right? If you don't pick up a piece of trash off the floor, that's a low-level ticket versus you. The officer tells you pick up a piece of trash on the floor and say, suck my dick. That's a whole nother ticket and a smackdown, right? So it's like different levels to it. Oh, this program, you couldn't get in trouble at all. And I wasn't planning on getting into anything, right? I think the turning point is when I decided to say, all right, I wanted to work on a computer, right? So the only computer there was in the chaplain's office,
right,
and in the counselor's office that we could use while we were in there. So I was like, let me see if I can get these 2 jobs right here, right? Because I thought, I don't know where my brain thought I would have access to the internet, but that was my goal, right? I was be online, so I could kill time. No, none of that. It was like Windows 98. I think, and then I think that's when me working for the chaplain, right? Worked for the head chaplain. It's actually really dope. Got to organize a lot of religious events. Got really into theology. Started really diving deeper into the word. Prior to me being sentenced, I was actually baptized at a church in Harlem. And I wanted to give my life to Christ because of everything I was dealing with at the time. I realized, like, I can't do this alone, right? Okay. So once I submitted my life to Christ in that journey, when I went inside, it made life a lot easier to manage and deal with. Once I started working for the chaplain, dealing with helping people with their problems, I realized I had a knack for, helping people through their traumas.
And what did you do next upon you coming home?
a week before I came home, right? That's the part I wanted to get up to.
Okay.
Thanks for fast forwarding for me.
No.
No, I appreciate it because I was going and going. So thank you for that. So I'm gonna say this, right? So at the time I was in a relationship and she was transferring positions. So she knew I was coming home. So she thought it was a great opportunity for me to get the position. So we had to like really plan, strategize, and scheme this out, right? And she was like, "How are you going to do the interview? They want you to do a phone interview. It's for a physical therapy clinic, right?" And it was like downtown. It was real fancy, right? So I was like, "Look, listen, you're going to schedule the phone interview for like 30 minutes, right? Because you know for a fact that a click, right? A phone call in prison is 30 minutes. So I had to time it perfectly. The call can only be 26 minutes before they come on and say, you have 60 seconds remaining on this call, right? So what I did was, what she did was create an email for me so I could come home to. She was sending emails for me. And she was like, they're asking, they want to schedule a meeting. I'm on vacation. I'm out of the country, right? So I'm calling while I'm on the trip. Right. So she was like, all right, cool. So I told them, I guess the way she did it was perfect because they called her phone and then they connected her phone to me, right? And you already know how those three ways work, right? So in this case, I had to pretend like we were both together, right? So one, they wouldn't hang up the phone because the feds always like the CEOs are always listening. So you had to make it seem like they were already in the room with you. So that was difficult. Right. And then on top of that, I had to make sure that I interviewed perfectly enough to where they invited me back. Lo and behold, I did the whole phone interview in 20 minutes, right? Enough time to chop it up or whatever. Right? Mind you, it was like, I say Wednesday or Thursday, midweek. I was due to come out next week, Thursday, right? So they were like, oh, we would like for you to come in tomorrow, the day after on Friday. I was like, well, I'm out of town still. I'm out of town until the 11th, August 11th. Right. That's when I got out, right? I was like, I could come in the 12th. So like, they were like, okay, great. So August 11th, I got out, which was a beautiful experience, by the way. A very, very rewarding, weird, right? And honestly, that process needs to be handled a little better. I'll just keep it brief on that. When I was released, I was put in the back of a mail van where all the packages come through from the post office and sent to the nearest bus station in Utica. Right? Very weird seeing 8, 9 formerly incarcerated men in sweatsuits, right? That's usually when you come home, right? Sweats, right? Sweatsuits hopping out of a van with a net bag or a duffel bag, right? Out of a white van. It's a very weird experience because everybody automatically knows you just came home, right? That experience has to change. That's an idea I have further down the line. But the ride back, when you see that city view, bro, you see New York City, that's when it hits you like, yo, I'm home, right? So fast forward, I go report to parole, and I saw like somebody, they said, come back tomorrow. I said, okay, great. That morning, that next morning, I interviewed in person. And as soon as I interviewed, I walked over to the parole office because it wasn't that far apart. Right. And she was like, why are you in a suit, tie, and everything? I was like, oh, I just came from a job interview. I got the job today. I start Monday. So she was like, wait a minute, when did you come home? So I came home yesterday. I had an interview today, and I start Monday. And she literally said, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like she could not believe it. So I told her the story, and she couldn't. She didn't understand. Like that's how driven I was. I wanted to make sure. Like I wasn't. I've never been one to not work, right? So I've always been blessed with opportunities to work, and I've experienced what it's like to be formerly incarcerated, looking for a better paying job. Because at the time I was making like 15 an hour, which is not bad, just coming out. But I wasn't making that much, right? So you're talking to somebody who less than 4 years ago was working at Louis Vuitton, making commission, bringing home checks well over $2,000, right? Wow. And that's just one job, one day job. And on my job, I worked multiple jobs, right? I used to work at what is that so called? Saks Fifth Avenue.
Saks Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, I used to work at Saks over there on Madison. Yeah. Whatever it is. Yeah. Different Berghoff Goodman, Neiman Marcus, Overnight, Stop, Zara. I used to do all that. So like 15 an hour, one job. I feel poor. I mean, granted, I just came home from making 25 cents an hour.
Right.
But 15 an hour in the streets, it's like, oh, I'm struggling, right? So I stayed at that job for a good 18 months, right? And I say it so deliberately is because I made sure that the first goal was, in 6 months, I'm going to have something else. All right, 6 months is here. 6 months, I'm going to have something else. Still nothing. Still interviews dropping me. All because I was telling you. 6 months, right? So I kept making that goal. Short-term goals, right? Short-term. Where you want to be in these few months, right? I always kept myself on track. Started getting into campaigning. The first campaign I ever signed up with was with Just Leadership USA. And that was a closed Rikers campaign. I started off like a basic person, just wanting to share his experience, all the way to seriously spearheading the campaign. The coolest part about that is I learned how to lobby. I learned how to community organize. I got on the community board for East Harlem, representing Community Board 10 for services and economic development. So with all this growth I'm experiencing, I'm still on parole, right? And the craziest part is that when I was met with the travel issue, right? That's when I realized empowerment is very important, right? There's a huge lack of empowerment when it comes to reentry, especially for us who have so much access to resources, but are so limited into how we can use them. And it baffled me because it's like a lot of these programs are generated and created by docs, or they're state funded or granted. They get these grants through the state. And we're limited in how or different ways we can use them. So you're telling me right now that I can technically go to school at John Jay, right? And join a program, which I did, and earn credits and have opportunities to speak and have speaking engagements in other states. Like I spoke at Georgetown in DC, and I was on the mass bailout and ended cash bail and trying to make federal law instead of a state law. And one of the things that baffled me is that I literally had to have the dumbest conversation I've ever had with a human being. The first time, I won't lie, the first time I tried to leave the state, I wanted to go to the Steve Harvey show, right? At the time, that was my favorite show to watch while I was up top, 4 o'clock. Dudes knew that was my slot. That was my time. 4 to 5, Steve Harvey show. So when I came home, quite naturally, that's what I wanted to do. When I got rejected, I understood why. Can't fly to Chicago. They don't want me to be gone for the weekend. I just came home less than a year. I get it. We're in year 2, right, of me being on parole. Had 2.5 posts, meaning, for those who don't know, when you are sentenced to a mandatory minimum, I was sentenced to 4 years. And then even after you serve all of your time, they still have a mandatory post-release supervision.
It's a fact.
And I was mandated to be on parole, supervision for 2.5 years, which is bonkers, right? 2 years, people supervised my life, knowing I wasn't doing shit wrong, and still decided to find ways to dictate what I do next. Hence, case in point, the dumbest conversation I've ever had in my life. I get this great opportunity to speak for this organization, very well known in DC area. They invited me out to Georgetown, and I wanted to really do this. They bought me a ticket. They were gonna have your boy flued out, you know. Got me a dope hotel room. They sent me the itinerary for it already. They even gave me like a food voucher for the night. Wow. Like they gave me they hooked me up. They did everything short, but put me onto the job full time. Let's just say that. Right. The point is that I came to parole. Hey, look, at the time I went to Hostos at the time. Here's, I just finished my semester. Here are my grades. I got a 3.0, right? Nice. Wasn't doing so great, but doing the best I could. 3.0. 3.0.
That makes you that puts you on the dean's list.
You know what I'm saying? 3.0. I was happy about that because obviously a kid who loves cutting school and not doing any schoolwork to go for the 3.0, very proud of that. All right. Then after that, I showed her, certifications I got through Just leadership training, all this other stuff. Boom. Last thing I showed her was the email that was sent to me confirming my flight, everything, why they want me to fly out, what am I doing. I even showed her an article I was featured in on a website. And she was just like, what? Why are you bringing you got a flight already? I was like, yeah, I didn't pay for it, but they paid for it for me. They're like, who told you can leave? I was like, I came here to tell you I'm leaving. Right. And that's the part where I was like, oh, I messed up. I was like, wait a minute, I messed up. But that was the fear in me. Right. That was the fear being generated where I felt like I messed up. But no, I actually said the right thing in the right moment. Because what led after that is her, giving me the screw face, like, oh, I'm about to lock your ass up right now. To telling her flat out, I was like, why do I have to ask you permission to fight for my own freedom? He could not answer that question for nothing. And literally to this day, when I think about reentry programs, when I think about anything that caters to anyone who is disfortunate, why do we have to go through so many leaps and bounds and permissions in order for you to grant us the opportunity to things we should already have anyway? And she couldn't really respond. She just was like, just come back when you get back. I was just like, wow. All right.
So then parole is, I'm sorry to interject, because parole isn't about reducing recidivism. It's just about, it's about
maintaining it. Right.
Exactly.
It's not about increasing, because you don't want those numbers increasing. Now we got to look at the system, right? You want to maintain the number. You don't want to drop it, because if you drop it, there's no need for the program. If it goes too high, now we got to look into the program. Let's maintain our level of BS, right?
That's a fact.
So,
that's a fact.
Spoke, did my thing, continued doing my thing, led marches, did work with Black Lives Matter in Greater New York, helped with campaigns. Currently, I do work for a nonprofit called the Center for Employment Opportunity. CEO, shout outs to you.
CEO. Yeah. I've referred a lot of people there. So
exactly. CEO is actually one of the most progressive in reentry reform as far as workforce, where anybody can come home. Ironically, I teach orientation now. So most people who come to my class and they see me, I'm like, oh shit, I know you, bro. Oh yeah. I still do the same thing. I found my passion teaching and making sure people who are coming home, stay home, have opportunities to work and all of these things. So I love doing it. It's furthering my passion into what I'm doing now. I'm happy to announce that I'm the co-founder, COO of Con Connect. That's CON Connect.
Okay.
Just.com. We are the first ever professional networking site for formerly incarcerated. We are for opportunities to pay a chance employers. We're going to offer opportunities to access resources for any individual who has a cell phone. It's going to be an app. So you can have a sense of agency at the tip of your fingers. You can log on and type in anything that you need, give you access to that directly. We're working on geotagging your location to find the nearest organization near you. We're working on a lot of different things. The point is that we're going to have opportunities for anybody coming home from incarceration, looking to start themselves up, build themselves up, brand themselves out, and actually get themselves into positions of power where they can affect the greatest change.
Wow.
One of the things that me and you both know is that at the top of the food chain of all these nonprofit organizations, they do not look like us and they do not represent us. And that's one of the things I really want to change. I would love to see more executives who are formerly incarcerated running reentry programs. And I would love to build and create opportunities for folks to do so. Right. So these are some of the things that I definitely want to make sure that people look out for. The website is due to launch in June. So look out for that.
What is it called again?
On Connect.
Is it all one word?
Yes.
.com?
Yes.
Okay. Definitely.
Yeah. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I see it. So hold on. Let me share this. I'm going to share the screen because this is amazing. And you got a candidate or connections. So that.
Right. That's exciting right there.
Okay.
You can even continue with your own LinkedIn page.
Right.
So we identified that there's a lot of people like us, Hek, right, that are formerly incarcerated, already doing their thing. So they can skip the whole sign-up process by just linking their page, their LinkedIn page to our website and already built itself out.
Wow.
As far as connections, anybody with their own nonprofit looking to hire or give access to resources to individuals can definitely reach out to me. I'm more than happy to sign you up with our base and then put you on the connection side. So be on the lookout. It's coming.
Did you obtain your 501c3 yet? Your nonprofit license?
Yes, we did. But so
right,
we're in accelerators. Proud to say I'm the first ever Center for Black Innovation Accelerator. They already evaluated our organization, our company.
Wow.
Big numbers. I don't even know.
Without a doubt. No, without a doubt.
Right.
That's amazing, brother.
We're doing a lot of things that are putting us in a position of power, and we're building it out slowly but surely. But in the meantime, we definitely do have a lot of major organizations and companies, corporations that are looking to really push this initiative forward and help us out. It's sad to say this, right? You mentioned it earlier. There's a lot of dudes who are upstate who shouldn't be there. Right. And that's the mental health side. And that is honestly the academia side, right? I can't tell you how many dudes I know did 20, 30 years, still serving time, or just came home with masters, PhDs, doctorates, and they're making less than us, right? They're working $25 an hour, not even the salary. And it's sad because of their background. It's sad because the technological gap that they have, right? Like it's ironic. Something that first off, shout out to my amazing wife, right? I just got married, right?
Shout out to your wife.
Something my wife just exposed to me and helped me realize is that my life isn't a cautionary tale. My life is a journey, a transitional journey, right? And it's one that is meant to help others transition in their journey, right? To go from wherever you are to experiencing a new level of self is very humbling to say that I can show people what it looks like. You know, it's like, it feels like it's selling hope. But to be honest with you, when you actually are enthralled and passionate about what you're doing and trying to help expose the wrongs of most organizations and make it right, it's pretty rewarding, bro. It really is.
Of course.
It really
Definitely.
is.
Definitely. No, man. It's, bro, mind blown. Like you're doing amazing things, man. Oh my God. Like, nah, your proof, for someone that's gonna listen to this, it is proof that, you know, the journey, if you really submit to it and submit to improving yourself and trying to, not even trying, like really putting forth the effort in changing your life, it'll happen. It's not, and it's not going to happen easy, but then again, what is easy for us? Like, honestly speaking, we come from communities where we have to earn everything. There's nothing that we get for free. There's nothing that we get because of, whatever the case may be. Nothing is handed down to us. We don't come from those roots. It's make the life for yourself and figure it out. And, you've really done it, man. You've really, I'm super proud of you with this endeavor, man. It's definitely gonna take off. You're definitely putting in the effort without a doubt, 100%. But no, it's gonna happen. You'll see. You'll see. Trust me when I tell you. You'll see.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's been working.
Yeah. Do you have? Do you have? So this is the tailwind, and of course, my brother, I've given you roses throughout. Amazing person, remarkably positive from the moment I met you. When we sat down in that office and we chopped it up about life, and we took our little walks, and saying we hung out, here and there. COVID has stopped the double date, but it's not gonna stop it forever, But I always knew, I was like, yo, this is a guy that's doing something, and it's gonna happen for him. You were relentless without it throughout everything. You were just like, you know what, I'm tackling this, and I don't care what it is I need to do or how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna get to where I need to be. And that was something that I always respected about you, and really, I admired that about you, because I didn't meet people like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we have a similar drive in a sense, and it was like meeting someone like you was like, oh snap, this dude is like me. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, we're, and of course, because we're driven and, paths have to be wherever they go, we weren't always in touch, but we were in touch, and we never really, we was always a text message away, or, I congratulated you when you got off parole. I was like, oh, you got how much time? Yep. You out of here. I know, behind like I was right. Like, listen, I was like, yo, man, congrats. Do your thing, and I'm proud of you, brother. If no one else other than your wife tells you that, I'm proud of you, like, sincerely. I think you're doing amazing things, and it's only going to get better. I'd like to say that you and my other guests are. I honestly, like, okay, I may have maybe provided the platform, but you guys are the spark. And that was always the idea for this. It's never about me. It was always about, I know these great people, you know what I'm saying? The people that I admire, however, whatever capacity, and what can I do to kind of put their stories out there, and so that they can impact people, and they can, and they can understand the struggle that people go through, and how they overcome them. And every one of you guys that have come on my show have overcome single parent homes, poverty, incarceration. Not everybody. There's like maybe 2 guests that really didn't. But for the most part, everybody that's just like, like overcoming obstacles upon obstacles upon obstacles. And they're still successful. They're still making it. They're still grinding through it, and all of you guys, right now, this show's about you. And, I know for a fact that whether it's 1, 20, 100, 1,000, it's going to impact a lot of people to be like, you know what, if he did it, I can do it. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point to this.
To anybody who is currently struggling with identity, with a transition in life, with anything that is causing strife or making you feel like you're stagnated, the one thing that I would honestly say for you to cover and to understand completely is that you are not rooted into your situation. Your situation is actually pushing you to your higher self. I am on that journey. I learn that about myself every day. And I thank God that I'm able to experience what I'm able to experience, even at the age of 31, right? There's been so many times where I didn't even think I would make it to this age based off of where I live, my circumstances, or where I'm going, where I was going and heading in life. Incarceration was definitely one of them. But the one thing that I can promise and guarantee is that you are always closest to your greatest blessing when you face your greatest struggles. Once you overcome that, once you see a way out, may not even have to be you doing something. It could just be, honestly, be still. Being still and understanding that it will be taken care of is something that is very powerful within itself. One of the things that I like to tell people, and I had to realize I was lying to myself about, is saying that vulnerability is my greatest strength. Vulnerability is only tapped in when I allow myself to tap into it. And then it becomes my greatest strength. You can't just claim something that you are doing and then say to yourself that you are struggling all at the same time. Positive things happen, negative things happen. Negative things happen in positive situations. Positive things happen in negative situations. You have to be able to adjust and show grace to yourself, give honor and blessings to those around you who are actually seeing you through those situations. Do whatever you do with your most high God, higher power, whatever the case may be, and know that you are built for something greater. Just know that. And whatever that is, even if it doesn't even meet your expectations, find the moments like these to say to yourself, this is what I am meant to do. I am supposed to be here in this moment with you in this room. All these people, one person is going to walk away with whatever you have to tell them and see your door. And then now that you identify that you're the door, wow, I've been the solution the whole time. Your life will change forever. I guarantee you. That being said, this is Champ. Christ handles all my problems, and that's for a reason, because I can't fight my own battles alone. Just Another Podcast. My man Hector. Peace out.
Ooh, I ain't even have to end it. My man Champ ended it. There you go. Listen.
Got you.
Blessings. Everyone have a great night. Good days. Positive days. Hater-free, sucker-free, whatever you want to call it. But definitely free yourself. Try to get out of your stuff. You know what I'm saying? There's always a will. If there's a will, there's a way. Have a great night, y'all. Y'all take care. Peace.